Welcome back to the Peppermint Penguin. In this video, it is going to be jam-packed. I'm going to start by showing you how I doubled my craft room space in size. We're going to do some organizing, and I'm going to, as a bonus, show you a couple cards I made last weekend. But I'm going to start by showing you how I doubled the surface space, not necessarily the storage space, but the surface space. So this was my craft room a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if you can see the cabinet underneath that has the drawers. I'm circling here in pink for you. This drawer unit is really great for storage, but it's actually not holding up the desktop. So I realized about 3 weeks after we moved, 3 or 4 weeks after we moved, that, oh my goodness, this storage unit doesn't actually have to be under the desk. My husband's desk is taking up the other corner of this room, so I didn't have a ton of space in the middle of the room for an island, but luckily this cabinet isn't ginormous, and I had just enough space to put it in the middle of the room and put an IKEA desktop on top of it and make it into an island. And because I really only have a certain amount of surface area on that desktop, the far left space is for photo styling, adding this top and making this an island doubled my actual crafting space. So the pillow in the background, like from the right of that over, was my only surface space, and you can see that the island has doubled it, and I did it with things I already had. So I just wanted to share that because I know it's really easy to kind of get into a rut with your craft area and kind of think of things in just one way. But if you think through things a little bit differently and maybe think about how other things can be used, you can increase the space that you have possibly without spending any money. I already had this desktop and the cabinet, so I didn't spend anything. So that was really, really, really gratifying. This weekend, my goal was to get my cardstock organized. So here I am organizing my 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I bought some 12 by 12 paper organizers. I had so many options that I was thinking about. I was thinking about some plastic organizers, but they were really expensive. So what I ended up going with was these vertical, just basically magazine holders, but for 12 by 12 paper. I got these from Hobby Lobby. They were $6.49, and I really liked the idea of storing my paper flat and getting those beautiful like clear or white plastic shelves, but at the end of the day, they were really expensive and a waste of space. Anyway, wanted to show you a couple cards I made last weekend. I made a couple congratulations on their graduation cards for a couple of my husband's cousins that were graduating from high school, and I had so much fun with these. I got a new die from scrapbook.com, and I'll show you which one it was in a minute, but this was the boy one. I took a inspiration from the YouTube video that I made last week or a couple weeks ago about guy color schemes. I had a lot of fun with this. I used the new die. I made the black and white grid paper with a pen because I didn't have the stamp, and then added some glitter, which is against every rule in my book. And then the girl card, I used the same congrats die, but went with a totally different look. I love how this turned out. I love that scallops are coming back in style, and I used good old school scallop scissors to cut the background cardstock, and then I also used a sun ray die from embossing folder from Spellbinders, and on the guy card I also used a star embossing folder as well. So pretty simple cards with just a few materials, and I love how they turned out so very much, and I already got them in the mail. So this is the die that I used. It's a really fun, it looks really multi-dimensional. It's 3 dies in one for each of the sentiments, so that you layer them and you can have a lot of fun with the colors, and that helps create a really gives you a lot of options as far as color schemes and the look you want for those 2 cards. So I'm still organizing my cardstock, as you can see, somehow over the years, because clearly it has been a while since I organized my cardstock. All the colors were mixed together, so like both my 8.5 by 11 and my 12 by 12 cardstock were just an absolute mess. So it took me a really long time to get that organized. So really today what I ended up focusing on was these two 12 or 13 by 13 squares in the top of this organizer. This organizer, by the way, is a Bright Room shelving unit from Target, and I have it turned up on its side for to make use of the vertical space. You always want to make use of vertical space when you have it. So I separated my cardstock. I used all 4 dividers. I used one for my solid color 8.5 by 11, one for my solid color 12 by 12, and then one for my other pattern paper, and then one additional as well. It was really good to go back through this and organize it all. It's not completely organized. I didn't organize the pattern paper, but I did organize the solids mostly by color. And then I have some other random stuff that I was putting in file organizers as well. And a lot of this stuff, honestly, I didn't organize. And I know that's a little weird since this was an organizing day, but something I've come to realize is that a lot of this just isn't going to get done in one go. And I think that's important to remember, is that sometimes this stuff takes time and sometimes you have to prioritize. So my priority was getting the stuff that I've been using a lot lately, like my solid cardstock, in a place where it's both organized and easy to access when I'm making cards and scrapbook pages. And that was my goal for today. So while I didn't have this huge makeover, I did get a lot done towards accomplishing that goal. So I put all the cardstock up in the top left corner, because that's really close to the island area, which is where I'm going to be doing most of my crafting. Now I'm working on cleaning out the drawers in the island, because that was my other goal, was to get those drawers, especially the top drawer, cleaned out for paper crafting. Right now, or earlier, it was holding all kinds of random stuff that I wasn't using at all. And so having it easy access, or having it right in front of me, didn't make any sense at all. There are 2 different ways to organize in general. One is to fit as many craft items into a small space as possible, and the other is to make things easily accessible and visible. And sometimes you can accomplish both of those goals and sometimes you can't. And what I've been finding with my craft room is that I can't have both goals for the same space at the same time. So what I've done with this 2-drawer island is to split them into the 2 different goals. The bottom drawer is going to be stuffed full of all the things that I'm not currently using as much of, and so I'm just trying to organize them in a way that maximizes the space without worrying about if I can see everything or get easy access to it. Those things include buttons, ribbon, clay, beading and jewelry supplies, things that I just haven't used in a while. And they are all, or just random things like corks and pieces of wood that I may use at some point, but I'm not currently using right now. Those items are going in the bottom drawer, and I'm stacking them all on top of each other without worrying about if I can see it all at once, because I don't need to see it all at once. I'll go rummaging in that drawer when I'm looking for something specific. I could have organized this a lot more, but I decided not to for the sake of time. The top drawer is different. The top drawer is my paper crafting supplies and my acrylic paint, and at this point in the video, I was thinking of putting stamping and embossing, so that's what you'll see in the video, but I'll explain at the end that I switched it to acrylic paint. The top drawer is for stuff that I'm going to be accessing regularly, for paper crafting, scrapbooking, things like that, and that is stuff that I'm going to need easy, quick access to when I'm working, and so I want to be able to see it, and that might not mean necessarily that I'm using every inch of space in that drawer, which means because the priority is different. So I just wanted to explain what I'm doing. I know I sped this video up quite a bit, but that is what I'm trying to accomplish with organizing my paint, but then stuffing everything else in the bottom drawer before I move on to the top drawer. As far as organizing in the top drawer, I had been looking for some plastic organizers, and I found a really great one from Hobby Lobby, but I was looking at other options. I really wanted to use this tall, narrow organizer from the Container Store because it would have allowed me to store my 8.5 by 11 cardstock in these drawers. However, these drawers are only 8 3/4-ish tall, and this organizer was 9 inches tall, or 9.5 inches tall. I don't remember exactly, and I can't see from here as I'm narrating, but the organizer was going to be too tall for the drawers. So I gave up on that idea. But this is a really good, relatively inexpensive plastic organizer option if you need that tall, slim design. Another one that I found that was similar is this one from Walmart. Again, similar price range, under $5, and a little bit wider. So that would be a good option as well if you needed that tall storage. I believe that both of these would actually hold file folders. So if you wanted that as an option or wanted to organize your cardstock that way, that would definitely be an option. I'm looking into these for future. I want to see, these cardboard organizers for my scrapbook paper aren't going to hold up super well. So I'm kind of waiting on them. But what I ended up with was these Nook ones from Hobby Lobby, just over $5, and I loved these. These were the perfect size for storing my new dies for my die cutting machine, for my Sizzix. I will show you in a bit how I organized my dies. I'm actually really proud of the solution I came up with. These organizers are not in the craft section at Hobby Lobby. They are, the Nook & Company is their like home and bath organization, and it's in a different section in the store. So you'll have to go looking for that. It's not in the craft section, but it was just the right width. It's about 4 inches wide, just the right width for my dies. So you can see here, I'm showing you my dies. I took each die or collection and I stuck a piece of cardstock in these recipe card sleeves. So these are recipe card sleeves, again, from Hobby Lobby. And I put each die in with a piece of cardstock behind it for stability, and each recipe card sleeve, and then I glued, like I punched out the die and I glued that to the front, because sometimes it's hard to see the die from the front, if that makes sense. And then I also put my embossing folders in there because right now I don't have a ton of dies, so it didn't take up the whole container. But that's originally why I got that narrow organizer, and then I bought 3 more. I'm storing my envelopes in this drawer. I'm trying to store the things that I reach for the most often, and I'll admit I was struggling with this. I really thought it was the perfect solution, and then I was going through and organizing and having to shove things around a little bit. And I think it's important to remember that you may not get it on the first try, and that your storage should be flexible. So if there's a certain craft you're enjoying right now, your storage should be a fit with that. And you are going to be reorganizing regularly. I also tried these white bins. I had these on shelving behind my craft desk, and originally I was like, oh, these would fit perfect. I can stick these bins in the drawer. And I may do that in future. The reason I didn't, I'll show you a picture in a minute here. It just looked so good and it fit really well. And I might still buy some more of those bins. Those white bins are from Amazon, and I will, I gotta track down the link to them because I need to buy more myself. But I decided I wanted to leave them up on that shelving for now because they look really nice and they already have a home. So what I ended up doing instead was I put my acrylic paint back in here in some dollar store bins that I don't think they sell anymore. But this is how we ended up with the paper. I think we can agree that it looks a little better than it did before, and it's more functional. So there you have it. That was what I accomplished in this weekend, and I will share more in future.